All right, so we are back here on Commanders in the Chat, episode 48. Our Commanders versus Eagles post game, and obviously, this is no victory Monday. No sprinkles will be on ice cream this week, any of that. Obviously, with the Commanders' loss by the final score of 24-7 to the Philadelphia Eagles. What's going on, Rob?
You know, another week of being a Commanders fan. Another week of disappointment. Another week of thinking that this team was going to come out and do something to give us a little bit of hope. And just complete disappointment. Completely underwhelming performance in all facets of the game, with the exception of Tressway. And as we have said before, time and time again, when we are praising our punter,
Yep.
you know you had a bad game.
Yeah, and I don't know, Rob. Like you said, it gets to a point where it's just like week in and week out. It's to a point, and it's early. Don't get me wrong. It's September, but it's just to a point. This is really feeling like 2021 all over again, and
Hmm.
it's almost feel just as worse. And like you said, we thought the situation with Tress Wade was, as far as we you know last year that was a reality. 2021, 2022 was supposed to be like, okay, well, we've overcome that. Where, like in this case, Tress Wade, yeah. And I'm at a point. I gave myself a rule this year. If we lose, ain't nobody on this damn team getting the game ball. I
Yeah.
don't care what you did. If we lose a football game, no one deserves a game ball. But if we were to do that, because that's how bad we were last year, we Tress Way would get it. I tell you, this is just one of those, like, it just, you always come into these games and you come in with positivity. You're gonna come into and be like, okay, this is a new week, this is a new week, this is a new week. But like we talked about it on a Thursday in the pregame show, where it's starting to become insanity. It's like, I'm literally week in and week out is trying to put lipstick on a pig and calling her a
Yeah.
beauty queen, and that pig is not a beauty queen. It is going to be the ugliest thing that you ever seen at a pageant, and that's what I keep up in this commander team, as if it's going to be first in show for a pig with makeup with
Yeah.
lipstick. And it's just to a point where I just don't understand what's not clicking, up the road for this commander team. I just have no idea what is going on. So the loss of this magnitude, what are your initial thoughts, and then just some takeaways from this L that we took today?
My initial thoughts, I tweeted them, I think shortly before the first half ended. Time to clean house. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
The Ron Rivera experiment, I feel like, is over. It's reached, it's reached the boiling point. Um, the 7-9 season, while the record itself was on par with what a lot of people predicted we would be, we were lucky to be able to win the division. And we've been bamboozled into thinking that the next 2 years, the next 4 years, we're going to be better than that. And we had every right to think that coming off a 7-9 division win, we were only going to go up, because that was Ron Rivera's first season as head coach of this team, dealing with a lot of injuries that year. COVID was definitely crazy that year, signing Taylor Heineke as the COVID quarterback, as the emergency quarterback.
Yeah.
It, but at this point it's done. The biggest problem I have with Ron Rivera, though, and why he needs to be fired, is he's loyal. He's loyal to a fault. I cannot think of a head coach in the NFL right now that would allow somebody like Jack Del Rio to remain on their coaching staff when we have seen the same thing over now a 20 game period dating back to last season. We played 20 games, and our defense has been atrocious in damn near all of them.
Yeah.
I'm done with this Ron Rivera regime. Time to clean house, start over, and start for another rebuild.
The crazy thing about all this is, to me, it's deja vu all over again, and it's crazy because going back in a lot of today is going to really be a repeat of 2021. You're gonna hear me say 2021 till like I'm blue in the face. It's to a point where this literally reminds me of deja vu week 3 against Buffalo last year, where this was supposed to be, I deemed it as our measuring stick at this point, and we failed to even get on the ruler in this matchup. And this is another game where you look at, if you didn't watch the game and you'll say, oh, well, you guys only lost 24-8. No. And the same thing with Buffalo. We only lost by 42-21 in that game last year in Orchard Park. It's eerily similar, where it's almost to a point where Philly and Buffalo last year and then Philly today, they took the dogs off of us early. And it's just to a point where, it might look great on the stat, but this game was over from the jump. This game was over from at halftime. This team once again down by more than 3 possessions in the first half. And we talked about this before we went on air. Every time we have, it's almost to a point where I'm like, you know what? F having keys to the game, because you're going to ignore both of us.
Yeah.
We made solid keys to this victory to win. And I'm not trying to say that like we invented football. We're not, but we made solid points and how you should win this football team based on your personnel. And I just feel like you really swallow the key and just be like, you know what? I don't even need a key to win these football games. You did everything the inverse of what you shouldn't do. If you know you were down 22-0 last week, and then the thing about all this is, granted, I'm a positive person. I'm a glass half full person. But sometimes there's moments in my life I have to look at the mirror and be like, something has to change.
Yeah.
This should have been their moment this week, because they kept on saying, oh, we had a great week of practice. Detroit is in our rear view. It's going to be different. No, this was just as worse. Considering the fact that you already was down in the deficit like that last week, and then you're going to put yourself back in that same hole, and to think that you were going to be able to come back in that second half and do that. Like, so my thing is, what did you essentially learn? What was really this week about? Where was the prep for that? And that's the thing where these things, and then the thing that got me, and all of it is really reversed back. This reminds me of the Saints game last year when, remember, Jameis Winston threw that Hail Mary to end the first half.
Yeah.
Same thing here, where it's like, you keep telling us, oh, we had a great week of practice. We had this, and the third. Oh, this week is going to be a new leaf. It's the same thing. It's just a different result, a different day, and a different place. Last week, you stunk it up in Detroit. Now you went back home and you stunk it up. And the same thing. And even to your point, where you say, Rob, with loyalty to a fault, like this Jack That Real thing, like this is where it's just like, and then even last week, when they was even saying how that Detroit knew what we were doing defensively, it's almost like they knew, because obviously you can tell. Look at those big open plays that they had in that matchup, and it was, like you said, it was predictable. So even their intel said that they felt as though like they knew what was going on, and it's like you said, it's to a point where there should be something that should have been, should have been looked at, and it could have been something that should have been checked. And like you said, and you wouldn't think Ron Rivera would be like that, considering the fact you fired Sam Mills week before the season started,
right?
Which in what was an unorthodox move, to say the least, where you let this man go through training camp and then you get rid of him, towards not even at the end of training camp. I mean, this was like right after the Hall of Fame weekend, so it was literally before they broke from camp. I mean, a few days before they broke from camp. So I'm like, you can do all this type of stuff, but then like when you got a defense like this, where it's just and and one more point before we kind of get to the next thing, but these Eagle fans warn me. Like the old New Edition song. Mama told me one day this was going to happen. I thought I was going to be much older than it actually happened. We got the bad Carson Wentz today. We really got the bad Carson Wentz today. We got a Carson Wentz that was rattled. We got the one that didn't release the ball in time. And this is where, people said, well, you're going to get that bad Carson Wentz. We did get it today. I thought it would be a little bit later in the season. I think it used to be some kind of a good opportunity to get himself, at least get some good plays under his belt and kind of, have that. But this has just been this trash today. It's been the worst.
It was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. Yeah. So we got a panic meter. So we're at a point now where we're 1-2 in the division. We're 1-2, and then we're 0-1 in division. On a scale from 1 to 10, we're being it's all good. Well, we know it ain't all good. To 10, like full blown panic. What's your scale?
12.5.
Yeah.
Because so here's the biggest thing. Detroit, we're learning that Detroit is a good team. They played the team that we were able to score 8 points on in the last 10 minutes of the game. Detroit put up 35 against them. This seemed like I just said we put up 8 points against a division rival. If nothing else, this team should be pumped up for a division game. And in all honesty, we should have lost the Jacksonville game. We got lucky with a lot of drop passes, overthrown balls. We should have lost that game. We should be 0-3 right now. The fact that this team is sitting at 1-2, luckily, and this defense there's no sign of this defense getting any better. It's not only the personnel grouping, but the staff is not putting players in a position to be successful. St. Juice has probably been our best corner so far. When he's played on the outside, he's played very well. But they keep putting him in the slot because Kendall Fuller, we pay him all this money to be CB1, which he's not. He's not a top corner. He's not a lockdown corner. The year that we won the division, when he was playing in the slot, he played great. He's probably one of the best slot corners in the game. But because they're paying him top DB money, they're making him play against everybody's ones. And the crazy thing about this weekend was the Eagles have 2 ones on their roster in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. It doesn't matter where you put Kendall Fuller on either side, he's going to get bodied. Like it's going to happen. There's three things are certain in life: death, taxes, and Kendall Fuller getting burnt for touchdowns. Kendall Fuller not being able to jump with the outside guy on a 4th and goal fade and give up a touchdown to end the half. It's sad. This defense is by far the worst. And when I was growing up, our offense was hit or miss, but the defense was always one of the top teams in the league, or top units in the league. Most years were 1-3 battling with, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Always had good defenses. Now, with 2 defensive-minded coaches in Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, we can't stop a nosebleed. Tress Way did his job. He pinned the Eagles on their 1-yard line. And what did they do their very first play? 13-yard run up the middle.
Yep.
So defense has been abysmal to this point. Secondary, again, we knew it, and we knew it was going to be trash. Secondary is garbage. Giving up big plays, either giving up big plays or having to hold on to receivers. I think it was second play from scrimmage, got a defensive PI because of what's his name? Dude with a weird last name, like Dog Paddle or something.
Oh yeah.
Wild Goose. Wild Goose Chase.
Wild Goose.
Yeah, Wild Goose Chase. Looked like he was on a Wild Goose Chase all game, getting burnt. Second play for scrimmage, had to grab the receiver's jersey to keep from them scoring a touchdown second play of the game, well, it's abysmal. Montez Sweat has got to go. I'm going to say that. They're not. Do not pay that man any money because I forgot he existed. I forgot he was a person today.
And that goes back to the scheme where it's just like you these guys are in such mismatched positions, and it's just like and just it's to a point where it's to a point where I just don't understand like where they like are they watching this film? Are they evaluating these type of things and realizing, well, maybe this person's out of position. Maybe this person shouldn't be in this spot. Even to your point, like with Kendall Fuller, like I don't like you should have made adjustments in the first quarter, like before the two big plays that gassed you in the second. And it's just like those type of things. It's like you're on the sideline for a reason, and even if you was upstairs, you gotta think to yourself, seriously, and like you said, and the Kendall Fuller thing's been going on since this Ron Rivera, since from the beginning. So that's the thing where I'm just like I'm confused. Like it's just like, how can you like so yeah. Okay, all right. So yeah, so and I'm really like confused as to why. Essentially, why are you not getting these guys prepared and ready and actually putting them in the best spot for them to win? So that's like one of the biggest things. And let me go back to Rob. All right, you back in. All right.
Back.
So
sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, now when it comes to a panic, like you said, it's gonna be a 12 or a 13. It's gonna be way up this. And I think just a simple fact of and we just not even like because really when we talk about the game as far as hey, you want to get out to a good start, and that's also in the standings and also too because you really want to establish yourself at this point and this early in the season that hey, we are a team that you need to be worried about down the road. And I understand, yes, it's a divisional game. You know, we see these guys down the road, but at the same token, we don't know what this team is going to be, and these games. And why put it's almost to a point where you could potentially put yourself back in a corner when you in these, facing these potentially must-win games where hey, you can take care of business now and kind of let and like I said, this was supposed to be a statement game. This is supposed to kind of see how you look at least the first quarter of the season because obviously. Obviously they will feel it, which everybody looks at them as the favorite. And I think they are on paper. And I think even as you see these first three games where, yeah, they a team that's, I wouldn't say they're a complete team, but out of all the teams in our division, they're probably the most complete when it comes to just, as far as everything that they have their personnel wise. So this would have been, so to have a performance like this and lose the way like you did, and and people say down the road, this Philly team is going to be even more scared because once they figure out how to score in the second half or to a point where they don't score in these bursts and they can just consistently gas you like that. God, now imagine because this is almost like a microcosm kind of what happened on Monday night where they put up 24 points in that first half and didn't score. I think they scored, kicked the field goal, and I think they had 27 points against Minnesota. But it's literally similar to what happened on Monday. So. And we don't play them until like November the 14th. So we'll see this team almost 2 months from now. Yeah. And they'll figure that out. And what's going to happen to this team? They're going to revert to the same things and don't come into this matchup unprepared. That's why there's a panic. Because I don't think Phillies have played their best football today. They didn't play their best football today.
No.
They gave us a favor. Like if I was going to give Brian Daboll a fruit basket, I need to give Nick Sirianni a fruit basket. Hell, give him a suit because he really could have embarrassed us. He could have put up 40 points on us today. It was that bad. It was just to that point where hell, so it's panic is definitely there. It's definitely, and this is another one where you set yourself up for disaster because now next week is a damn near must win because you cannot and not to put the cart before the horse, but you cannot go into a week 5 matchup against Tennessee, and you're 1-3, and you're 0-3 in the division. Like you can't, like I mean, not 0-3, but 0-2 in the division, 0-2 in the conference, and 0-3 in the conference. So these are the type of moments where you have to panic, because this stuff can go, and then it's another one where who knows, we might, but we'll talk about Dallas as we proceed for the rest at the end of the show. But we had that one. So I guess at this point we could just beat a dead horse. Essentially, how is this game lost?
By allowing Jack Del Rio to continue to be the defensive coordinator of this football team. He's done nothing to show that he can make any adjustments, nor has Ron Rivera. But ultimately, the slow start, offensive line could not block anybody to save their life. Carson Wentz sacked 9 times. And I think he had 5 halfway through the first quarter, or like at some point through the first quarter, was sacked 5 times. A lot of drop passes by Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. Wentz was never really comfortable in the pocket. His internal clock sped up a lot after the first quarter, and he was just no awareness from this team. And then even when they did get some momentum late in the fourth quarter, no sense of urgency, because it was 24-2 still. Got a couple big plays, and instead of going tempo, run a couple no huddles, try to get Philly, backpedaling. They huddle, they pick a play. Carson Wentz, he reads the defense, and they're snapping the ball with 1 second left on the play clock. Like, I get it. You probably feel like you've lost the game already, but at least pretend that you're trying to get back in it. And every time they show Ron Rivera on TV, he's just standing there watching the game, that he has no idea what's going on. And the rest of the coaches aren't yelling at Carson Wentz to hurry up, let's get a play off. How Ron Rivera didn't challenge that non-catch by Devontae Smith, like I don't know. And here's the thing that pisses me off about that. They said, I guess I didn't hear if they asked him in the press conference, but I know that he threw the flag too late, which if you need time to look at it, call a timeout. You still had 3 timeouts at that point. And we went into halftime with 2 timeouts. So clearly the timeout didn't end up being that important. He doesn't start using timeouts until you're down 22 points in the last 30 seconds anyways. Just burn the timeout, give you guys a couple extra looks at it, and then make a determination. Don't let them snap the ball. Waste the timeout if you have to. It's just it was bad play, bad coaching, bad everything by this team.
Yeah, and I'm glad that and I'll actually allude to your point too, because that was one of the plays that I thought was going to bite us in the butt, because obviously at that time, because that led to that field goal. So at that time, I was thinking to myself, why? And that's what, like, to me, and I'm watching this on television. Now, we're literally couch coaching this game. And I'm like, why is Philly snapping this ball so quick? You know that wasn't a catch.
Yeah.
That should let me know. That let me know right then and there. I've never seen someone snap a ball that quick.
Right.
Ever. And I was like, where's the challenge flag? He threw it too late. I'm like, and that's where it's like, and I don't even blame it on Ron. I blame it on everyone else. Somebody should have told him that. Like, this is where it's like, that's why I'm lost about that, because it's like, that's questionable. So you don't mean to tell me in the 15, 20 some seconds that you had in between that play that someone didn't go in your ear and be like, hey, just throw the flag, throw it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, hey, coach, take a timeout. We need to keep looking at this. We have 3. There's 6 minutes left in the first half. Let's burn this timeout.
Right.
That was a 47-yard play.
No, a play.
You gave them 47 free yards.
Exactly. And the team that was giving up 6.6 yards per play each in going into this game. And that's why I'm just like, and that's where it's just like the urgency. And that's where it's just like, where is it? And that's why you can't feed us that bullshit every week and say, hey, well, oh, we had a great week of practice. We're doing this. We're going to do this better. You're not even doing the fundamental things right. You're not doing things that just it should be in innate. Like, okay,
Right.
if you like that was, to me, that was a dead giveaway. That's when if I knew he snapped, that's when, like you said, instinctively I would have called a timeout. Because he snapped that so quick. And I'd be thinking, and that should have been at least a red flag to let you know, hey, and you just cannot allow that to happen, especially when you have a defense of our nature where you give up, like you said, that big play, that demoralizes your defense. And at that time, we had a shot. So this is where, like, and those type of things do bite you, because you think about it, that could have been a momentum. That could have been a momentum shift, because at that time, it was a strikeable game. It was a game that, we were just jostling back and forth for positioning. We still somewhat had somewhat of an upper hand at that particular moment in the game, and then we kind of sequestered with that. So that it's a lot. I mean, honestly, a lot of it too. And I think like the Carson Wentz sack, which that's another thing where he had the 4 sacks in the first quarter, and that's the crazy thing about it. They was even able to overcome that and still was in striking range of this game. And that's the thing that's like the offense failed them in his first half, because honestly, the defense played okay at one point, at certain points, except for those two big touchdowns. But it's to a point where offense should have put something on the board. And like in Philadelphia, in that game, so they had 4 sacks in that first quarter. That's the most sacks that Philadelphia Eagles have had in the fourth quarter since 1991. Rob, you weren't even born.
I was not.
Like that's inexcusable. And this is to a point where, and that's where Carson Wentz got to realize, hey, that pump faking and all type of stuff, you just gonna have to sling it. They know what you're doing. Like that pump fake is not fooling nobody.
Yeah,
it's not fooling nobody no more. You just gonna like I think like Mark Schlereth said it. Hey, you just gonna have to trust it. You just can't just pump fake it, and you don't have time like that. Right. And that's the thing where that's the biggest issue, where it's like, hey, he should have essentially been quick enough and made something, and they were giving you stuff underneath. Like you notice, like kind of, I like, man, hell, just you take, especially in a game like this, because this really could have been a game of inches type of game. They were giving you stuff underneath, so it's just like, hey, just take what you got. But then it's almost to a point where and that's where it's too, like you said, when you establish your own tempo, you can do this type of stuff. But it's almost like, why do we have to adjust to that? Because once we start seeing it, okay, they give you underneath, it's too damn late to even realize that's what they're giving you. So it's just like, why can't we go into a game and then they got to go in the locker room and adjust to what we're doing, and versus us just having our head down and saying, oh, well, what are we going to do in the third quarter? Oh, well, they're giving us underneath. Okay, well, let's throw some little screen passes here or there. Let's do that and at least do something. And it's just I just don't understand. I don't get this. It's to a point where it's just like, it's like, I don't know, man. It's to a point where I don't understand the rationale behind this team. And it's just to a point where it's just like, what are you seeing that no one else, even like your fan base, people that just watch this team, that just like, we watch it on TV. We got a good angle, but we not on the field. We not your coordinators. We don't,
Yeah.
But we see stuff that y'all don't see, and I'm like, everyone sees it, and it's not like we're being like overzealous or being, no. This is, this is everybody's sentiment. Like everybody sees what we all see things that they don't see, and that's the thing where it gets like kind of like I don't understand like what's truly going on, but that's here nor there. And I think I'll never get that. At this point, figuring out this team is almost like trying to worry about world peace. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
Just
we can sit here and speculate and say what we would do in that situation, but we're not in that situation. And,
right.
And ultimately, soon, neither will Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio.
Correct. So, at this point, yeah. And that's like you said, and that'll be next. Because at this point, the way this team is going, they obviously have shown they have not improved. And considering the fact of just how the offense has been in the defense. So, like you said, this will be it, especially unless they turn this thing around. But the way things are going at this point, I have no idea if this ever gonna happen, honestly. So we gotta give out grades, Rob. So
F. Trustway gets an A. F all around. Offense, defense, coaching, ownership. They all get an F today.
Everybody. Yeah. I gave Tress. Yeah, Tress gets a B. Tress gets a B. So he's a high mark on this one, special team wise. Defense, I'm going to give them a D minus. I'm gonna give them a D minus. I'm gonna be nice today.
That's fair. They did play well. They actually kept us in the game for the most part, which was shocking.
And F is got to be the offense. It's an F plus minus all this because it's to a point where they can get nothing going, and that's the thing. Kind of pisses me off. It's to a point where it's like, all right, like we talked about the underneath stuff. Like, why you didn't do that in the beginning? Like, why you didn't do that to a point at least? Because you try to get Terry involved, and they kind of took that out the front. Once again, what did we say on this damn show Thursday? Spread that ball around. Did y'all listen to us? No, you didn't. You didn't. And what did you do? You went against the grain, and just said, you know what? I'm gonna get Terry involved first, and then what ended up happening? It essentially took the whole game plan out the window because then the other one, like you said, Curtis wasn't, Curtis Jahan missed, dropped some balls and stuff. So it's just to a point where, you wasn't even supposed to get a Terry late because you know that was going to be somewhere. This is dumb. It's like, okay, I'm going down a straight road. Now, going left, the road could be closed about 2 miles down the road. Right, you got a clear path. This team will go left and be like 1.7 miles in and be like, oh shoot, this road about to close. Duh. They told you a week ago. Like, what are y'all doing Monday night? What did y'all do on Monday night? Was y'all so busy watching the Bills and the Titans game? You see what he did to Justin Jefferson, right? And you didn't think that was going to happen in this game? Like, what are y'all doing? Like, somebody in this organization had to watch that Monday Night Football game and realize, hey, maybe what we should do is get the others involved first, and then maybe get Terry down the line.
Yeah.
But like you said, I'm just a jag. I'm just a guy with an opinion. So don't take what I say at face value. But we told you. You don't listen. So, but yeah. So we'll put everybody out that misery, and we'll put a bow on the show. But before we get going, it's funny. In a game, especially like this, where normally there's like a heightened, like especially Dallas. We're going to Dallas, and it used to be like, oh man, this is Dallas week. I'm excited. I'm at the point where I really don't give a damn. I feel like Joe Namath tonight. Like, I don't care about the Commanders struggling. I don't care about the Cowboys struggling. Like, because I don't like this is the point where this is different. So, oh boy, your thoughts on this? And just initial thoughts before we head on out about our matchup against Dallas next Sunday at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time.
I'm a lot less confident in this game coming up than I was this morning when I woke up.
Yeah.
The fact that the Eagles or the Cowboys rather are playing with Cooper Rush, it should be a relatively easy win. But we saw that the defending AFC champions couldn't even get it done last week. They also have problems, so I won't be surprised either way at this point. I got to look into it a little bit more. I got to probably watch the last two Cowboys games, or the one from last week, and then obviously watch the one tomorrow night. But I'm not confident anymore.
Yeah. And like you said, so yeah, like you said, and Cooper Rush, like he did beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Yo, I was like, I wrote on my notes like I gotta make sure I say Cincinnati for you. That's a trigger word.
Some people be wilding on TikTok for no reason just to get some clout, like, and it's annoying.
Like, where's the H at? Like, where's the H?
Right.
I was like, I had to question myself. Like, okay, how do you spell Cincinnati? Like,
I don't know what's worse. People saying that guy throwing the H in Cincinnati, or Kenneth putting random U's in words like color, throwing a U in there.
Because I know I'm famous for like salmon, which I'm just like, I don't know. That's just
you go heavy on the L.
That's salmon.
You heavy on the L, okay?
That's that sound. I'm telling you, that's that sound stuff.
But at least that letter is in there, though.
Yeah, right.
That letter is in there. You're going hard on that letter. These people are adding letters.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's like I make fun of my wife all the time. She's from the Midwest, so like Washington, she throws an R in the middle, so she pronounced it Washington. Like first time when we first started dating, I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm washing dishes." I said, "You're doing what to the dishes?"
Worse. But yeah, this like you said, it's one of those where will this team come out and it's essentially where will they learn from these last 2 weeks? And this is another one where this is a must win for them.
It is absolutely
because now, due to the fact of how your poor showing today, you have to win this game because you can. I'm telling you, it's to a point where this team cannot afford to be 0-2 in the NFC East, and with 4 games left in this division, you're not going to sweep the next 4 games. So you have to win this football game to even get to a point now, because we looked at our basement dwelling folks in East Rutherford, New Jersey. They 2-0, like with a potential being 3-0. So you can't you cannot be buried in this basement like it was 2020. It's different. So. Yeah, and I just want to see this performance. I know people are saying maybe Dak might come back next week, but who's to say? And it's to a point where who knows? But I don't know. And I think they probably just rushing them too quick. But it is what it is. But like you said, Cooper Rush, he's won games. He's won games at home and won games on the road as well. So he won a game in Minnesota last year. So who's to say what he could do in this one? And we'll have a lot to talk about this when we preview this matchup this week coming up. And just because a lot of stuff is still lives in my mind rent free. When we go to Dallas, especially the last outing. So please do not let it be that way. And that's another one too, where you want to see the resolve of this team, especially after these 2 games, where pretty much in the first half of these 2 games combined, you were losing 46-0.
Yeah,
Like, so will this team respond? Will this, oh, well, we had a great practice. We had this, everything else in the back, is gone. It's in the back window. We're gonna see it, and we're gonna find out. But yeah, so Rob, before we head out, tell them where they can find you and any social media, what you got going on.
You already know you can find me FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. I have nothing big coming up. Just our regular weekly stuff for the Commanders, and then probably start getting ready for draft coverage pretty soon.
Yeah, I know that'll be soon, and hopefully we ain't got to draft too early. Hopefully I don't know. I hope it be after supper before we draft, but I don't know the way things going. It might be before supper. Yeah, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Under Couch Coach Live. Got shows on Wednesdays, and actually we got a show tonight at 8 we call it an emergency podcast. We'll be broadcasting at 8 tonight. Also, a few other things, obviously. Commanders in the chat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much Commanders ITC. And we'll be back next week. Well, to preview this Dallas matchup, and another tough loss this week, and hopefully the team can rebound and head to at least be in the 500s winning percentage wise. Hopefully there, and at least see some light at the NFC East basement. But hopefully they'll serve us some cheese and crackers and some water while we're in the basement. But but
give us something.
Give us something, because we might be in there for a while. But the way our play has been. But yeah. So once again, thanks everybody for checking us out. And man, we'll catch you guys next week. And we're out.